The Mesopotamians, ancient Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, Vikings, and more recently the Wisconsinites have all enjoyed wine, especially with food. In 1000 AD, Vikings crossed the Atlantic and named North America Vinland due to its dense vine coverage. Approximately 500 years later, the French Huguenots produced the first known American wines in Florida, using a native variety of muscadine known as the Scuppernong grape. 65 years after, Franciscan missionaries plant mission grapes along the western coast, from as far as Peru up through California. By 1908, the University of Minnesota begins its grape breeding program, with an aim to produce grapes hardy enough for the upper Midwest's temperate climate, especially its harsh winters. But despite the success of a handful of American wineries, Prohibition begins in 1920, lasting until 1933. Out of the nearly 2,500 wineries in the U.S., less than 100 remain. In 1967, Dr. Charles Steele establishes Wisconsin's first winery, and by 2002, University of Minnesota releases its La Crescent hybrid grape, followed in 2003 by Frontenac Gris. By the year 2007, Wisconsin has a total of 41 wineries and 480 acres of grapes. But does wine pop up when most people think of Wisconsin?
Actually, I do. The fact that Wisconsin has a history of wines and wineries in the state that make pretty good wine. One thing that we cannot control is the weather. Terroir, as you know, is a French term for the soil conditions and all the conditions that envelop the grape in the vineyard. Okay. So, along with the sunlight and rainfall, which are natural, the third component of terroir really is the soil. That's something too we don't control because it's a geological fact. It's a natural thing that happens for thousands of years. I think that there is tremendous potential, but with the grape varieties we have, Frontenac, La Crescent, Vidal Blanc, Chancellor, these are all hybrids that can be improved, over time. More and more wineries opening up with this potential of exploiting these hybrid grape varieties. And they're easy to drink and matched with the right food. Like I always say, match it with the right food and the wine will just be phenomenal. You'll love it, you'll be passionate about it, and you'll consume it for a lifetime.
Two people just as passionate as Peter are Tom and Teresa Jorgensen, owners of the Cottage Winery and Vineyard just outside of the city of Menomonie.
It was probably 7-8 years ago when I started making wine as a hobby, and it grew from there. Being in construction all my life, I like to build things, and we traveled Europe and fell in love with the European architecture. And so we went along with that style, trying to make the winery a destination rather than just an average house.
We did construction for the first 3.5 years, and then last July 2012, we opened up our doors for the wine tasting room. People are a little bit scared of wine. They think it's kind of a snobby thing, or since they don't have much experience with wine, they stick with beer, or they don't want to come in here. What we say to that is we want to be an educational winery. I'm kind of new at this whole thing. I just knew I loved wine, but I didn't know what the fuss was about with what wine comes with. And so we want to be known as an educational winery. We don't want to be known that you have to know everything about wines when you come through the door. You don't even have to like them if you don't. But that's what we're here for. We're here for to give you the education, to give you samples, to see if you like wine. And almost every person that's walked through the door, whether they like wine or not, has found at least one wine that we've had them taste and they actually liked it.
So what is next for the Cottage Winery and Vineyard?
We have lots of events coming up this summer. They're in the works because we are kind of new. Besides our tasting room being open and the weddings every weekend, I'm doing fun stuff like on a Tuesday night I'm going to have Walk Your Dog and Wine Night, where people can come out with their best friend and sit out on the patio and enjoy a glass of wine with them. I do a lot of stuff with UW Stout students because we want to be an educational winery. So we plan on doing lots of events, which will be a lot of fun.